Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back to Microsoft Flight Simulator. I'm Martin Wenzel. We are on leg 62 of our world tour at Blaise Diagne International Airport in Dakar, Senegal. And we're going to be flying to Banjul Yundum International Airport in Banjul, the Gambia. Very short flight today. Flight is based on Air Senegal 213, flown using an Airbus A319 usually. But I'll be using the Airbus A320neo, FlyByWire's A320nx mod, with the Air Senegal livery created by Unit Death. Alright, we're also going to be using self-loading cargo, Volanta to track the flight, Bene overlay for the overlays on top and bottom, and Navigraphs along with pushback helper. Here we got pushback helper. You can get that on flightsim.to along with most of these other mods. Alright, so let's get the plane set up and ready to go. Again, a short flight, so probably we're going to spend more time actually getting this plane set up. Wipers, spoilers are retracted, flaps retracted, engine masters off. Reflector is normal, anti-skid on, and landing gear down. Fuel quantity, pop this open and start getting our fuel on board. We'll get the battery capacitor switches on. Make sure our flight assistant doesn't start asking for a pushback too early. Battery on, external power on. Alright, just about to let the passengers on board. Turn on the no smoking lights, emergency exits, our nav logo lights, and jump over to the dashboard and start getting the fueling as well. Well, this has changed. Yeah, we got some thunder suddenly. This is all stuff I didn't see before. There we go. Take a moment to get some brief popping up. Our fuel, we need 4,668. 4,668. It's going to take 1 minute to load. And we are ready for boarding.
Hi, cabin crew. We're ready to get going now, so as soon as you're ready, you can open the doors and start letting the passengers on board. Thank you.
I'll keep the seatbelt sign off until we have all the fuel on board, which will be in just a few minutes, or about a minute. Test our annunciator lights. And we'll get our ATC clearance.
Ground Sensatu 13 IFR to Banjul, ready to copy.
Sensatu 13 is cleared to Banjul Airport as filed. Takeoff runway 01, climb and maintain 14,000 feet. Departure frequency is 120 decimal flights 42421.
Sensatu 13 cleared to Banjul Airport as filed. Take off runway 01 climb and maintain 14,000 feet. Departure on 120.5 squawk 2421.
Set to 213 right back is correct. Contact ground on 121.8 when ready to taxi. Good day.
Alright, let's get into the flight computer. Checking our active nav database is kind of out of date. I don't know if Microsoft Flight Simulator just hasn't updated it. A little bit out of date there. Go back to the menu, ATSU, AOC menu, NIT/press, and we'll get that initial data. 35 minutes, our estimated time of flight. Flight number 213 for Air Senegal. And we'll go to our NIT page. For some reason it didn't fill all this in. Our flight number is 213. Actually, I don't think it fills that in. Our alternate today is... I'm assuming we'll probably just end up going back. Yeah, we're just going to come right back here if we can't land in Banjul. Cost index is 51. Cruising, we're only going to go flight level 170, 17,000 feet. On the NIT page 2, we do have all our fuel on board, so let's go right like this. Fuel planning. We actually have 4.6 on board, so more than enough to go back and forth. We then go to our RNAV page. We can put in our VOR. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put the VOR in for our arrival. So I'm going to pull that up on my navigraphs. Here our flight. Basically, we flew this the other day when we were coming up from Conakry. Flew right over Serekunda and Banjul. It's just this little city right there. Go to our other airport, open up the charts, approaches, and we are planned for runway 14 right now. I'm going to get that VOR. Same VOR either way. VOR 112.9. And we can also put that ADF in as well, which will be 256. Put it over here. I'm going to put the VOR in both, and then depending which one we want to use, we'll have them both available. We'll put in that course later, and the same with the ILS once we know for sure which runway we're coming to. Alright, back to our flight computer. Jumping around too much. Our NIT page 2, we did that flight plan. Basically that's it. Let's get our departure runway 1. We have no instrument departures. And we have one waypoint. We'll see if we might get directed right to final actually and avoid this waypoint anyway. That's it. Third. Right here to plan. He goes. I'm doing wrong. I usually can go up and down on the waypoints, not letting me for some reason. You can see there's Amtal. Looks right. Not sure why it wasn't letting me do that. 16 minutes it's saying right there, so it's gonna be a very short flight. Anything else? We need to do our performance page, and hopefully, I wonder if they've updated this. Yeah, we still need to use our calculator. So with the A320neo, we need to use a calculator. The A330 we didn't need to last time. Our runway course takeoff is going to be... Now we're at the wrong airport. 1, so 007. Elevation is 272 feet. Length in meters, 3,500. Slope percentage, so 272 to 251. That's a put a -1 slope. And we'll just leave it at 0. Not too much of a slope, so not a big deal. Over here, we can check our winds. 330 at 3 knots. Outside air temperature is 31 degrees Celsius. UNH pressure 1011. Runway condition is dry, even though I hear some thunder, but haven't been getting any rain. Our total takeoff weight in tons, 60.8. We'll do our flex for takeoff. Anti-ice off. Air conditioning will keep on. The center of gravity. Grab that right here if we want. 25.5. All right, so we got all that information. Come over here. And we have 146, 147, 148. Transition altitude. That is going to be, pick any one of our approach. It's 3,500 feet. That's where we will transition to our standard pressure from ground pressure. Flaps 1, and our flex takeoff is 60 degrees.
Hi, we're just about to set up here, so we're happy for you to close the doors once everyone's on board. Thank you.
Turn on our predictive wind shear, and we'll lock the cockpit door.
Okay, great. Roll miss done.
At this 1011. VOR, ADF, we can turn those on if you want. It's showing, doesn't have the mileage yet, we're not within range. Speed is as required. Heading should be dashed. I'm going to keep it on the runway heading for now, but then we'll go dashed once we are ready. We have ARC and 10 for our EFIS, and our flight directors are both on. The APU going. We have to clear our white lights first, get the fuel pumps on, and then we'll start the APU. Available, so bleed on, external power off. Good sound there. Did that. And as I said on almost every other video where we've used self-loading cargo, there is a door issue, and so I will be doing an instant board with these passengers once we get just about there. We have our APU, and we'll turn our beacon light on once all the passengers in the jetway is about to be disconnected. Alright, jetway is cleared. Tug is coming on.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. Welcome on board the aircraft. My name is Steve. I'm your pilot today, along with First Officer David and your senior flight attendant Alana. She, with the rest of the crew, will be making our way around the cabin, making sure you're comfortable. We're not anticipating any delays, so we should be arriving on time at our destination. The guys on the ground have just told us they've finished loading the final bits of luggage into the aircraft, so we should be on our way very shortly. We are, however, waiting to receive clearance to push back and start before we taxi to the runway. If you can help the cabin crew by getting yourself sat comfortable with the seatbelts fastened, that would be fantastic. Once airborne, we'll be starting out in-flight services, but for now, I'd like to thank you for choosing to fly with us today, and I hope you enjoy the flight. Thank you.
I believe the hydraulics page is now functional. That's new. Cool.
Cabin crew, please arm doors.
Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the crew, I ask that you please direct your attention to the monitors above us and receive emergency procedures. There are 6 emergency exits on this aircraft. Take a minute to locate the exit closest to you. Note that the nearest exit may be behind you. Count the number of rows to this exit. Should the cabin experience sudden pressure loss, stay calm and listen for instructions from the cabin crew. Oxygen masks will drop down from above your seat. Place the mask over your mouth and nose, like this. Hold the strap tight.
Hi, Captain. The cabin is secure. All doors closed and we're ready to go.
Starting engine 1.
Thank you.
Unlikely event of an emergency landing and evacuation. Leave your carry-on items behind. Life rafts are located below your seats and emergency lighting will lead you to your closest exit and flight. We ask that you make sure that all carry-on luggage is stowed away safely during the flight. While we wait for takeoff, please take a moment to receive the safety data card in the seat pocket in front of you. Thank you for your attention. We hope you enjoy the flight.
APU bleed off. Nasty switch off. Runway turn off lights. Taxi lights. Parking brake set. weather radar. Auto brake set. Anti-ice if required. Flaps, takeoff. Spoilers, arm, probe, window heat is auto. Get our taxi clearance.
Ground sends Satu 1-3 with Alpha ready to taxi IFR.
Send the 213 taxi to an hold short at runway 01 using taxiway Alpha 4 Charlie 7. Contact tower on 118.8 when ready.
Ground Sensa 213 with Alpha ready to taxi IFR.
Send the 213 taxi to an hold short at runway 01 using taxiway Alpha 4 Charlie 7. Contact tower on 118.8 when ready.
Alright, we're actually pushed back to the wrong place, so we're going to be taking Alpha 3 instead of Alpha 4, because Alpha 4 is the other direction. We should have pushed back that way and then gotten Alpha 4, but we'll go Alpha 4 to Charlie and then Charlie 7. It's actually one of the airports that actually has a decent taxiway system set up. Okay, takeoff config. Check if that's all green. Let's do our cabin call.
Flight attendants, please prepare for takeoff.
All right.
Sensa 213 ready for departure runway 01 ISR to Banjul.
Sensa 213 QNH 29.85.336 at 10. Cleared for takeoff runway 01.
Captain Cruise, for takeoff, please.
Cleared for takeoff runway 01 Sensa 213.
Alright, so we got our ATC set. TCAS sent to TARA. And we have our landing lights. Take off nose light, runway turn off lights on, strobe lights on, and entering the runway. Stabilize at 40% for takeoff. We're just going to make this turn manually. A little tight on the turn. We're at standard pressure. Turn off our runway turn off lights and our nose light.
Turning and following heading 165, proceed on course climb and maintain 13,000 feet Cessna 213.
I'm just flying this manually with the stick. Yeah, let's get outside and get a few shots here before we pass too much into the clouds. We're at 10,000. Turn off the landing lights and our seatbelt signs. And we'll put on the autopilot.
maintain 16,000 feet, Sensa 213.
Alright, so a city right below us is, I guess, Mabui. Got it covered up. Mbor. Yeah, we can already see probably just about at the horizon is going to be Serekunda and Banjul. See all the inlets and rivers coming in here, kind of the south. Well, right now we're right about central Senegal, or central on the coast of Senegal, and then just a little bit south, but north of the Gambia. And Gambia, basically a country surrounding the Gambia River, and a few miles out each side of that. I want to say the Gambia is pretty much like a country, kind of like really ancient Egypt was, where it was the Nile River, and then a few miles to each side was Egypt, and then when we think of Egypt now, we think of the borders. They are now mostly desert, but in reality, the Egyptian kingdom was the Nile and basically the delta and a few miles off in either direction. That's sort of how Gambia is too. It's a country where its borders are just a few miles off on each side of the Gambia River. All right, we're at 16,000. We are clear, or we are planned for 17, but they haven't given us clearance. Let's disarm those ground spoilers. You already see we're within 54 miles of Banjul Airport, the VOR. 67 miles to our one waypoint. Jump right in here, get on our performance page for our landing, and get our information as much as we can put in right now. UNH is 1010. Temperature outside is going to be 29 degrees. I have a couple of sources. I can either look right here, or I could look on my Volanta. Volanta's saying 0 degrees at 3 knots. Not sure why it says that. Here it says 180. 180 at 3 knots. Transition altitude. I'm doing this now because we are almost there as is. Very short flight right here. Minimums, I'm going off of our VOR DME runway 14. Minimum for that is 510 feet. That's where we have to decide if we're actually going to complete our landing or go around. Alright, so right in front of us, on the tip of that peninsula, right there, that is Banjul, and then the bigger city is let me get that right, Serekunda. And the airport's going to be just south of Serekunda. But hopefully ATC will give us which way they want to come in. If we go all the way to the waypoint, we'll be set up more to come in runway, I believe it's going to be runway 32, which has an ILS. We don't need ILS, we can do VOR. If we go all the way to the waypoint, we will then have to go all the way back through the airport.
And maintain 5,000 feet.
Alright, well, let's get our descent first.
Descend and maintain 5,000 feet. Sensor to 1 tree.
Our seatbelts back on. As I said, very short flight.
Sensor to 1 tree. Contact Banjul approach on 121.3. Good day. Going to 121.3 sensor to 1 tree. Banjul approach sensor to 1 tree is at 10,900 feet, descending 5,000 feet.
Sensor to 1 tree Banjul approach QNH 29.83. Continue to Amtel this plan.
That's what knocked us off of our heading there. Go right over Banjul. See, ATC did give us clearance to Amtol as planned. Get our landing lights on. Amtol as planned, our QNH is 29.83. We actually are speeding here, so we are going by vertical speed, unfortunately, because it did knock us off of our the waypoint. It had us go direct to the airport. That's why we suddenly had that turn. And once it does that, it kind of bumps us off of the speed control from the autopilot. We got to do this ourselves manually. We were speeding there for a little bit. We'll get in trouble for that from self-loading cargo. not sure yet where we're going to be coming in, but they have us going to our waypoint as planned. I don't know how long it's typical.
13, you are 15 miles southeast. Maintain present heading and altitude. Expect 4 DME runway 14 approach by Denos transition. Clear to Denos.
Maintain present heading and altitude. Expect VOR DME runway 14 approach via Denos transition. Clear to Denos Sensa 213.
Okay, it's not really telling me DME on these. Denos transition. So let's see, we got Denos transition here. Yes. Insert. And we're going to go to Denos. Okay, so this is the plan I was planning on. We have our VOR ready to go. Actually, we need to put in our course. Our course for this is going to be 142 degrees. We're basically going to fly over the airport, I believe. Or no, actually, because we're doing a Deno, it should actually take us, it should be a DME 16-mile arc. Oh, let's see if that's got that plugged in like that. Kind of. It tells us to descend, no. VOR DME DME means I'm not exactly sure the exact number, but it means that you're going to be doing a curve, and on this one 16 miles out from the VOR. You can see we're not doing that exactly, but once we get to this point, we'll get on that curve. Or that is one way you could do it. You do a 16-mile arc to Denos, then come in. The flight computer doesn't have that. Could do that manually. I'm sure in real life we should do that manually. And if I was on VATSIM right now, it should be in that position as well. Yeah, I'm not sure how this arc would work in real life. I don't know if ATC would give you a vector from that last waypoint, vector you out to 16 miles out, and then you'd go on that arc. Because we're clearly not at 16 miles. We're not going to get out there until... I'm not going to adjust it right now, but I think typically you'd be on a 16-mile arc right now. You'd be vectored out to a certain point and hook up with that arc right there. And I'm not sure, maybe you know what it might be. I'm sure that waypoint that we were at, Amtol, I think that's probably on a 16 mile. I think we were 16 miles out from the VOR, and then we would have done we should have done a 16-mile arc. We didn't do that. And as I said, I don't get everything right. Next time I will try to do that. When we get that message, we'll go, okay, we got to be 16 miles out. Do kind of and an arc is it's basically a circle. You're 16 miles out. You're maintaining a 16-mile distance from the VOR as you go around the compass and get towards the place on that course where you're then going to turn in on a course, in this case, 142 degrees into the airport. There's Serekunda again. Now on the south end of it, we can see Banjul on that tip of that peninsula, the capital of the Gambia. There's the airport right off to our right. I'm really looking forward to when someone puts out a great air traffic mod with real air traffic. X-Plane had it. All the real flights. Flight Simulator has real flights. They bring it in, but it doesn't seem like there's a lot. The great thing about that one in X-Plane, the real, I think it was real traffic or whatever, like it'd have the planes on the ground too at their parking gates on schedule. And so it wasn't live, but you could set what time you wanted it to be, and it would just go off the real life kind of set schedules. And I really miss that here in Flight Simulator. I do like the live traffic sometimes, but a lot of cases it seems like a ghost town, and especially there's going to be planes at the gates getting loaded, getting unloaded. They're not just going to come in and then disappear. And the airports feel really dead right now. I'm sure more of the American, European airports feel better, and obviously if you're in a VATSIM event, with a lot of other. That's multiplayer. Oh, not Microsoft Flight Simulator multiplayer, but just multiplayer across all Flight Simulator platforms. Anyone on VATSIM, if there's a VATSIM event and you're at one of those busy airports, there'll be a lot of planes, and in fact, sometimes planes coming in right on top of each other.
Approach airfront, flight 36 heavy is at 6,200 feet, descending 2,500 feet.
There actually is another plane here.
Flight 36 heavy, Banjul, approach QNH 29.0.
And we need to be at 2,500 feet once we get the denos. They haven't cleared us of that yet. Surprisingly. Air France 536, heavy coming in. They're at 6,200 feet. They're going to be descending to 2,500. I'm not sure why we're not getting cleared to the same thing. So flaps 1. ATC, give me clearance, 2,500 feet. There we go.
Descend and maintain 2,500 feet. Sensor 213.
Way too much thunder and lightning when there really is nowhere for there to be thunder and lightning. Alright, so now we're coming on that 16 mile mark, arc, and we're going to be descending to 2,500. And once we're to 10.4 miles out from the VOR, we need to be at 1,600. At 5.4 miles out, we're going to then begin our 3 degree descent, and we will land. We'll have our minimums at 510 feet, and we will land at the runway. Our runway is at 93 feet. The airport is 93 feet. Let me see the runway. Runway, to be exact, is 88 feet, but the airport, obviously, it's a little bit higher.
Air France 536 heavy descent and maintain 900 feet.
Alright, so technically we're not actually on that 16 nautical mile. You see we're 17 miles out. You can also see a nice shipping container there. Container ship. That's from World Shipping, Global Shipping Transport, something mod like that. One of the mods I don't have listed, but pretty cool because you get all those different types of ships and real ones as well. Get a shot. Looks like probably an oil rig.
Air France 536 Heavy, you are 5 miles northwest of Banjul. Contact Banjul Tower on 118.3 when inbound on the approach. Tower on 118.3 Air France 536 Heavy.
So we're actually on an arc of about, what is it, 19 miles. So if we were on that 16-mile mark, we wouldn't have had to do such a loop, but as we were a little bit tighter, with this bigger loop coming in, autopilot's taking us on. Ground pressure 29.83 or 1010. Landing lights on, nose lights at taxi. Turn that to take off once we are on our final approach.
Maintain 1,600 feet Sensa 213.
2,500. Flight attendants, please prepare for landing.
see the runway. It looks like we're at a little bit of an angle from it. We do have it in sight. And at 5.4 miles, nautical miles, we will begin our 3-degree descent.
Sensor to 1-tree descent and maintain 900 feet.
Descend and maintain 900 feet. Sensor to 1-tree.
Sensor to 1-tree, you are 5 miles northwest of Banjul.
1,000.
Contact Banjul Tower on 118.3 when inbound.
Tower on 118.3 sensor to 1-tree. Banjul Tower sensor to 1-tree 4 miles northwest, inbound for DME runway 14 approach.
Sensor to 1-tree Banjul Tower. QNH 29.85 with 227 and 7. Cleared VO or DME runway 14 approach. Sensor to 1-tree with 227 and 7. Cleared to land runway 14.
Clear to land runway 14 sensor to 1-tree.
I don't know why everyone's freaking out in the back there.
100 above.
Not sure why they're all screaming.
500.
Not at all sure why they're all screaming. Hear that? Why are they all screaming?
Minimum
Landing.
400.
See that? Freaking out.
300.
We are a little high, actually.
200.
Why they're all
100.
screaming, I don't know.
50. 40. 30. 20. 10. 5.
A little off center.
Ladies and gentlemen from the cockpit, you may have noticed we are about on takeoff run, and I'd like to apologise for the short delay while we investigate the problem. If you could stay seated and secured, we should be able to try depart again in a few moments. Thank you.
Sensor to 1-tree, turn next taxiway.
I'm not sure why we came to a complete stop there. Very strange. Why is it saying takeoff aborted? And why didn't it give me a landing thing? That's really disappointing because I feel like that was a decent landing.
I'd like to apologize for the short delay while we investigate the problem.
What problem? We landed. It's so weird. Aborted takeoff. I don't know what happened. That's really weird. Self-flying cargo. Self-flying cargo decided to just lose its mind. Unfortunately.
213 contact ground on 118.3.
118.3 sensor 213.
Let's contact ground. I wonder if that's where we're supposed to park, actually. Kind of unclear. On my Navigraphs, this is actually the only area, so I don't know what that other area is. Not at all sure what happened there. Why the passengers were losing their mind.
Ladies and gentlemen, from the cockpit, unfortunately, the problem that was identified during takeoff requires further checks by an engineer, and for safety reasons, we will not be able to depart at the present time. We'll be returning to the gate in a few moments, where ground staff will direct you back to the terminal to await further instructions. I'd like to apologise for any inconveniences may cause, but obviously the safety of everyone on board the aircraft has to be our priority. Thank you very much for your understanding, and remember to please remain seated until the aircraft has reached the gate. Thank you.
Alright, that's very strange. Alright, we are parked. I'm not sure if we're at an actual parking spot, but we got our APU on. Turn off our lights. And we will shut down our engines. Alright, 40-minute flight. Continue. And we will turn off the seatbelt signs. Turn off the beacon light.
Cabin crew doors to manual, please. Cabin crew, the aircraft is secure. Please open doors. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, from the cockpit once again, I'd like to extend our sincere apologies for the disruption to your travel.
Yeah, I don't know what happened there. We landed.
Inside the terminal, colleagues will advise you on any further details.
All right. Well, we landed.
Thank you for your patience, and we wish you a safe onward journey.
All right. Well, if you say so. All right. Engines are spooling down. Turn off our fuel pumps. And turn off the navigation. I'm not at all sure why the passengers were freaking out and why we had to abort the flight, supposedly. But they are getting off the plane. Many of them seemingly disappointed. As you can see. But not sure why. Alright, we're the third person to arrive at Banjul Airport, and we just unlocked Gambia for the first time. Let's review our flight. Our flight path didn't get up too high, and not a bad way to get it. I mean, as you can see, it's like we probably spent a good chunk of our flight was actually just coming in on the approach. Statistics, 53 minutes for the block time, 41 minutes in the air. Landing rate was 230 feet per minute, so not the greatest, but not too bad. 144 passengers, fuel burn just under 1,800 kilos, 171 miles. Our landing speed was 123 knots. Landing force 1.51. Now let's look at our world map. The Africa filling in just nicely. And today we are at the Gambia. And there it is. Alright, let's wrap this flight up and see what the heck happened. Yeah, it looks like we don't even get a flight report because it was a aborted flight, which is very weird because I try to open my flight log. Yeah, here we got something here. It's not gonna let me. Oh, there we go. All right, so I don't know why it wasn't letting me open it here, but I'll pull it over from browser. You can see we went Blaise Diagne International Airport to Banjul International Airport. Departure, we were 7 minutes early. Arrival, we were 1 minute early. Good pilot rating. Didn't get a landing rate. Passenger satisfaction was bad. But otherwise, airspeed, that was a big one. And we were a little too quick during taxi. So good flight. It's kind of funny. This was a good flight. Your landing was very good for the passengers. However, you put your aircraft in a dangerous position. Potentially floating down the runway too far. Oh, okay. Additionally, landing too smoothly. And that's because it's going off the 0 feet per minute. We were at 210 actually, so probably a decent. Control of the aircraft was faultless. Overall, your passengers did not enjoy the flight. So I always like how it's a good flight and passengers didn't enjoy it. But that's how it goes. As you can see right here, update 1.6 in progress for self-loading cargo. Can't wait until that comes out. Alright, thanks a lot for coming along on this flight to Banjul, Gambia. Next flight, we're going to be flying to Espargos, Sal Cape Verde, out to the islands off of Western Africa. Please remember to like the video, comment below, share it with your friends. Remember to hit the subscribe button and that notification bell. And until next time, keep the blue side up, happy flying, and take care.